if you're looking for a self-help book, a book that will help you know more about yourself, a book that will help you understand yourself, I recommend this book. If a child has no friends, she's pathetic and all, she needs help, she needs to be saved and all. Oh, if I do this, what will people say? If I say this, what will people say? People don't think much about you. Like, they have their life, they have things in their lives that they want to do, so they don't have time for you. Hey guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're doing great. I'm doing great, and so I'm back with a book review. And guys, this book is so great that I want you guys to really read this book. So if you're looking for a self-help book, a book that will help you know more about yourself, a book that will help you understand yourself, I recommend this book. The title of this book is The Art of Being Alone by Rekuna Grabrani. Sorry if I murdered your name, but I'm going to put the name on the screen and with the book title. So the reason I want to recommend this book for you guys is because this book helps to understand yourself. Like, I could relate to her story because at first when I started reading this book, I could relate to her story, and she's not a black person. You understand, I'm a black person, obviously, and being able to see myself in her, being able to understand the angles she was coming from the book, it was so amazing. So I love that you'll be able to understand the differences between being alone and being lonely. So guys, this is a video that you will find helpful or meaningful. You can just continue watching. I'll be looking down a bit because I jotted some of my points in my notes, right? So the first thing that caught my attention was her acknowledgement. I've read books that, actually I love reading books. I've read books where people will be like, okay, they are thankful for their friends, to their family members, to their pastors, to their husband for supporting them along the journey. But this lady wowed me. Do you know what she wrote? She said, oh, I want to thank myself for being there with myself when I was fighting doubts, anxiety, depression and all. Like, the way she just made it all about her, I'm like, this is a weird acknowledgement. Like, this is not your regular book. So that acknowledgement for me was given, and I'm going to go into the lessons I think you will be able to pick out from this book. And guys, if you'll be interested in getting the soft copy, like the soft copy of this book, just email me. Just check my description and you will see my email. So just message me and I'll be willing to send this PDF to you, because this book is so great. Sometimes people will not be able to afford hard copy, or maybe they have so many things going on in their life, they have so many things they want to use their money for, maybe, so yeah, soft copies are nice also if you don't have the money to get hard copy. So the first thing is that the author differentiated between being alone and lonely. Like, being alone and lonely are two different things. Like, even in the Garden of Eden, when God created Adam, he was alone, right? Even before Eve was introduced into the picture, he was alone. So she tried to differentiate between loneliness and alone. Alone is just being with yourself. She shared her experience of being alone as a kid. There's this narrative that when a child is always all by him or herself, the child is not that outspoken, the child is just like reserved, the child is just like, okay, I don't really feel like mingling with other children. Like this, the media or the entertainment industry term those kind of children as weak. You understand? Like, even in books that you read, they'll be like, oh, this is a weak character, this person needs saving. So talked about the media industry or the entertainment industry portrayed being alone as being lonely, right? They'll be like, okay, so you must be, if you're alone, or if, let's say you're a single person, you just love being single, you just want to be whole, you just want to understand purpose, you want to know what God has called you to be, you want to know your likes and your dislikes, you just want to have that time for yourself. Like, you just want to understand certain things by yourself. Like, you want to know you more, and maybe you don't want, you want to stay away from relationship. They tend to say, oh, this person is is lonely, right? Because I mean, you are this age, you are lonely. You're supposed to have a relationship. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. Like, people will define. They will set expectations for you. So if you don't know you are, see, people will call you different things. They will tell you what to do. So, guy, that part was like, I was like, yeah, because she shared her experience as a child where she's always all by herself. She's an introvert, obviously. She's always by herself. She doesn't like to relate too much with people. She just like being with herself. So when she was narrating her experience, and she was like, people called her names, people called her being weird, and that is what media does. When you understand the 7 mountains of influence, you'll be able to understand what these people are doing. You understand? So she was sharing her experience as a child where she likes to be reserved. She's an introvert, and she loves being with herself. And people condemned her. People were calling her weird. People were calling her being like something that is different, right? So I remember my own experience too, where as a little girl, I just like being by myself, just doing things all by myself, and just I just love being me, right? Being with myself, because I noticed that whenever I move towards other, like whenever I relate with people, or whenever I'm too outgoing, right? I tend to feel somehow. I tend to feel, okay, I'm not myself, because I just love being me, right? I love being with myself. And I remember, and I'm growing, and I can see that there's much improvement. But even right now, as an adult or as a young person, I realize that this is just my personality. Do you get? It's just my personality. Of course, I'm trying to be more outgoing, attend more seminars, just be the out person. All right. But I remember as a little girl where some of my relatives were saying, no, that girl, she doesn't relate with people, or that girl, they termed me as not being good, in quotes, right? And I always felt like, okay, is something wrong with me? Am I not enough? Why are people always like having something to say about me? Sometimes people misunderstand me just being by myself as being proud, or being like, basically being proud, being selfish, not associating with people. And I remember that those things got to me, especially close family members that were saying it, and they would say it to my face. Sometimes I remember my uncle came back from a relative house, so he came to visit us, and he was saying that they were saying good things about all of that children, and they were like, oh, this Busayo, me, that she just like being by herself, she doesn't like relating with people. We could remember when we went to the village, she was just all by herself. Okay. And as a little girl, a lot of things actually happened during that period where I just my mother didn't go with us to the village. My younger sister wasn't there, so it was just like me, my elder brother, and my younger brother. So and the other people there were adults, and there were no much young children like me to even play with. But I tried my best to relate with people, but most times I just like okay, what will I be discussing with adults? And of course they will call me to run an errand for them, and all that kind of stuff. But like them saying that, oh, I'm different, why am I like this, why am I like that? When my uncle came back and was like, oh, that second born, that Busayo, that lady that girl is different, she's just weird and everything. So I remember that got to me, that affected my, well, let's say it affected my self-esteem, but it affected the way I showed up, right? Because I felt that, okay, I felt like as a different person. And saying this right now, I'm like, okay, why would a small child think that, okay, people are saying that she's different, why is she feeling sad and everything? But I remember I felt so sad for a long time. I was like, okay, this is how people perceive me, this is how people think I'm different, people think I'm weird, right? And it's affected me, I'm not even gonna lie. And I would just try to be more outgoing, and most times it's not for me. Like, after a while, I just shrink back. I just enter my inner shell, because I mean, that's not my personality, but now I'm trying. So yeah, and I could relate to that because that was the same thing people termed her as. So yeah, that was, so I felt understood, I felt seen, I felt heard, right? That I'm not different. Okay, yeah, I'm different, but you should not tell me as weird or something that is different, right? So yeah, that one was so that one was, it was giving, because I felt like, yes, girl, tell them I'm not weird, right? So there's one quote that she said, and I'm going to read it. She said, "You will stop worrying what others think about you when you realize how seldom they do." Like, people are about going, they're about doing their own business. They don't have time for you. You think, okay, people, well, if I do this, what will people say? If I say this, what will people say? People don't think much about you. Like, they have their life, they have things in their lives that they want to do, so they don't have time for you. People don't have time for you to be thinking about what you are saying and everything. So I think that gets in the way. It affects the way we show up in our world, because we're like, okay, what will people say if I do this? If I wear this, what will people say? You always think about what people will say. Do what works for you, do what is good for you, do what works for you, and yeah, that'll be fine. The part where she talked about the biggest enemy, which is you, your biggest enemy or your biggest critic is you, because you always get in your way. Your mind is telling you different things. You'll be like, oh, am I enough? Am I this? Am I that? And actually, when I was reading a book that was last week or so, last week, by Michelle Obama, and she was talking about period where she felt she wasn't enough, and how she still feels she's not enough, she's not good enough. I'm like, this thing actually plagues people, even the most wealthiest person, even people that are successful in maybe different aspects of their lives. They still have that feeling of, oh, am I enough? Am I good enough? Am I doing this well enough? So yeah, I felt that, oh, this is really plaguing a lot of people, right? The entertainment industry has projected a lot of things to us, whereby when you see a child that is kind of reserved, a child that doesn't have friends, or even people that are not in a relationship, or people that they enjoy being single, like media or entertainment industry terms those person as being lonely, like being lonely. And you need to understand that being alone and being lonely is different. You have to be whole. Being alone is being whole, being like doing purpose, like understanding why you were created, a lot of things, right? So that even when people come around you, it's just like an additional love. You get, like, you are satisfied with yourself, you understand what God has called you to do, you love yourself, there's no condemnation, you've accepted yourself. I'm going to talk about it, where she said in the book that for you to even for there to be a self-love, you need to first accept yourself the way you are, right? And you need to know yourself, because if you don't know yourself, how will you be able to even understand yourself, right? So yeah, just do you. Don't think about what people will say. Think about you first, right? Love you, do what you want. Don't allow people's judgment or people's words to get to your head, and you stop doing things that you love, right? You stop talking the way you want to talk, you stop showing the way you want to show up, you stop wearing the dress you want to wear, just because, okay, what will people say? Do you, girl? And the part where she talked about the biggest enemy, or your biggest enemy, or your biggest critics is you. Yeah, you always get in your way, be like, okay, am I good enough? Am I doing this well? Am I enough? Like, see, will I be able to do this? And the Bible says you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. But you'll be like, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? And you can. You get into your head, you get into your like, you allow your mind to control you, and you don't have like control over your mind. So whatever your mind tells you, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm scared, I can't do this, I can't say this, I can't do that, right? And you need to understand that your biggest enemy is actually you, is nobody else. There's no competition, right? It is between you and you. It is the you now and the you in the future. There's that, like, people say comparison is the steal of joy, right? Because when you look at others, you're like, okay, I want to be like this. That should motivate you to become better, right? To become a better person. But like, comparing yourself and saying that, oh, what I'm trying to say is that your biggest enemy is you, and you need to understand it. You are the one that will get in your own way, right? Be like, okay, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I can't do that, right? So you need to understand that it is you against you, not you against others, right? And I mean, we grew up watching a lot of movies like Beauty and the Beast, like different movies, name them. You know those movies, right, that we grew up watching. They've somehow conditioned our mind, you know, and we need to unlearn certain things. We need to learn, relearn, and unlearn, right? Because those things have been they've been subconsciously, we don't even know, right? Because like that was what we saw while growing up, so it has become part of us, right? So you need to constantly read books, just put efforts in on learning certain things. For me, and that's one of the tricks and tips and tricks I use. You know, I realized that media has actually controlled even religion, family, all those stuffs. Like if you understand the cell mountain of weakness, you understand what I'm talking about. They shape us, right? It affects the way you show up. Like your subconscious mind is like your subconscious mind is like your automatic mind, where you know it has been conditioned, so you just behave like. The subconscious mind is different from the conscious mind, because I mean, for the conscious mind you can still actually control it, but subconscious, like you can't even explain why you do certain things. You can't explain why you think in a certain way, right? And it's so easy to be a follower, because you know, when it's easy to follow the crowd. You know, when people are plenty, they have this kind of opinion, they have this kind of expectation from you, and it's easy to follow them. But once you start having a different opinion, once you start saying, okay, I don't think this should be this way, I don't think this should go this way, I don't think this should be this way, you get, they start having issue with you. And that's the reason why people find it difficult to be a thinker, right? Because they'll be like, okay, I'm weird, I'm odd, you understand? And that's what even media has portrayed us to be, right? So